So now we're in, this is 88. What's going on with Breeze at the time? Because Bigger and Deffer's out, Tougher Than Leather's out, Real Roxanne is out. We haven't got to Walking with the Panther yet. What's going on with Breeze?
Breeze is sitting at home, doing nothing. I mean, Breeze was sitting at home. Wow. I mean, Russell pretty much put him on the shelf.
Okay.
He shelved him. There was nothing he could do. He was under contract. So, as time would allow, his contract ran out. They didn't renew it, and we took him over there to Sylvia with us.
Right. Okay.
Sure did.
And what year did you guys get him over to Sylvia and Atlantic?
1989. After the Def Jam tour, we came home. I immediately started working on LL, with the Walking with a Panther album. But at the same time, that's when we assigned the Atlantic deal, and I was in the studio with Breeze, with the W.I.S.E guys, and also cutting demos with Nikki D, cutting demos with Ray, had Organized Confusion, but the main project was Breeze for Sylvia. She loved Breeze. She called him her little tenderoni. He was a kid, so she loved him.
All right.
So that's how that came about. I was working on Panther and Breeze at the same time, 1989.
All right, so then let's get into Walking with a Panther, which I think is one of, if not the most underrated albums in rap history. Because I think I have my own theories, but it was shocking to me that people didn't revere it more for what it is, because I think it's a phenomenal album.
But I know why. Because you don't know why. Let me tell you why. Now, when that album was yanked off the shelf, it was at 1.5 million. It was already platinum, on its way to double platinum. But when LL's on the road, what is that? I'm in the Antelope Valley. I hear planes all the time anyways. But with Walking with, like I say, it was 1.5 million. But when he was on the road, he took Busy B with him. Now, Busy B, you remember Busy B, of course.
Yes.
Legend. Hip-hop. Yeah, he went on the road with LL as his hype man. But Big hadn't been on the road in a long time. So I guess he got a little excited. And Busy was doing some scandalous shit on the road. I'm not going to even really put it out there of the stuff that I heard he was doing because I can't confirm it. But some scandalous shit was going on the road to the point where the record company, Columbia, was getting wind of it, and they were like, we're not going to give you any more tour support, and we're going to yank the record off the shelf. It was that bad.
Wow.
So it was climbing, it was rising, it was playing everywhere, and then all of a sudden, it just dropped. Because the record company dropped it because of what was going on the road.
Wow.
So that's the true story of what happened with Walking with a Panther. It was on its way to double, maybe even triple platinum, because we hadn't really released any more singles other than I'm the Type of Guy. And then we released Big Ol' Butt after the record company dropped it. We just released it as a single to see what it would do, and it did. It didn't do well. But it was what it was. So, but I didn't go out on the road with him on that. I wasn't a tour road guy. I was with Houdini by then.
So that leads to several questions. So with Walking with the Panther, where were Daryl, DJ Pooh, and Bobcat on that album?
Okay, Daryl was not to make a long story short, Pooh was back at home working with King T and the Alcoholics. He had his own deal going on with Capitol, and he went out and got his own thing. blessings, prayers, blessings, go do what you got to do. Bob had another deal with Madonna, and he was working with the Canine Posse and all his groups. Daryl felt that we should get, of course, we all felt that we should get more money, the next album. And Russell had told us all, you guys are going to get the same deal you got on Bigger and Deffer, which wasn't shit. For 3 and 4 people to split 1.5 points, and you're really supposed to get 3 points. We got 1.5 points to split 3 ways. That was crazy. So he was trying to give us the same deal. No, it wasn't enough money, and it wasn't enough points for 3 or 4 people to split. But it was enough for one person, and that person was me. Because Daryl said he didn't want to do it for the money that it was, where the money was. So LL came across the street. I was staying at Mrs. Simmons' house in her basement. Mrs. Simmons was LL's grandmother's best friend. And he said, Muff, you want to go to the studio with me? I'm like, of course I do. Yeah, let's go. No questions asked. We didn't talk business. We didn't talk about how much money I was getting or points or nothing. Like, we just went in and started making records. And like I say, it was for the love of the music for me. It had nothing to do with contracts and money and all that, writers and splits and stuff like that. I just wanted to make good shit. And so we went in the studio and started making, Walking With I started on my living room floor. I had moved to my girlfriend's house by then, and I was making SP 1200. I was laying on that wooden floor, just making track after track after track after track. And the first one I made was Smoking Doping, and he loved that shit. So, and then the next one I made was You're My Heart. The next one I made was Jingling Baby. The next one I made was Big Old Butt. And then I just kept making tracks after tracks, and he was loving them and loving them and loving them. And we got to the point where I was making so many that I had to stop, and we had to actually sort out what we had made. And I had cut down, there was 18 on the cassette. I had made 14 of them that we picked. I had made over 50 records.
Wow.
But we picked those 14. So I can't even remember what the other songs sound like. I couldn't tell you a name of one of them because they didn't even have titles. So
at the same time, on Bigger and Deffer and then Walking with the Panther, LL is a producer, and Daryl, Big Daddy, told me too that LL was also making beats and doing all kinds of stuff and picking samples and doing a lot of stuff. So on the production creative side, how was LL growing and developing at that stage in his career?
LL was better at telling me wanted. He didn't, I don't know. LL didn't make beats. He didn't make any beats. I made all his beats, all of them.
What about the break?
Me and then the Bomb Squad. Hank Shakti, Keith Shakti, and all those guys. They made beats. LL didn't really make beats. He hear a record and he like, yeah, do something with this, and we would take it and do whatever we do to with it. But LL wasn't a drum machine guy. I mean, he'd like to play around with the drum machine and mess with the knobs, but as far as him making a beat, no, that wasn't his thing.
What about what about the breakthrough? I'd always heard he had done that one.
Steve Ett made that.
Okay.
Steve Ett made that beat. Yes, LL and Steve Ett made that, but Steve Ett was actually the programmer on that.
Okay. So how, all that being said, when you get to Walking with the Panther, how did you see his musical development on that side of things? Was he, how was his evolution? This is his third album. He's had tremendous success. He's at this time the biggest star in rap, probably as a solo artist, especially. What did you notice about his creative musical ear that was evolving?
He didn't evolve quick enough. He made Panther, and if you notice, the songs on Panther were all about LL. It's Big Old Bud, me, still talking about me. But hip hop had changed. Public Enemy, it was more conscious. You know what I'm saying? KRS-One. And he didn't have any conscious records on there. And if you notice on that album, there was a song called Def Jam in the Motherland. That was the very last song that we made for that album because he tried to slip one in, you know, because people was telling you need to make something that's, you know, make our people think and, you know, that. And he wasn't trying to hear it. But at the very last minute, he made that one song. But it was too late. You know, we had already made a Me album, you know? So
what about one of my
he,
favorites? One of my favorites on there, though, I think does, which is Fast Peg. You don't think that is?
Fast Peg is it was a cool around the way song of a story of a dope dealer. But everybody was talking about, you know, black consciousness and, you know, the Public Enemies and stuff was in then, and that, you know, KRS and them guys was ruling, and LL didn't have any songs like that. So I mean, when he went up to Harlem, we went up to they had a big it wasn't a parade. It was like a big jamboree or something up in Harlem. And when LL walked on the stage, he got booed. Everybody was booing him because of his album. He wasn't talking about nothing that they wanted to, you know, that they wanted to talk about.
Right.
So it was a good time, but it was a bad time. You know, the timing was bad. So that's why he came back with Mama Said Knock You Out so quickly. He came back quick with that, you know, to get that, to rub that Walk with the Panther dirt off of him.
Yeah. And then with, well, why do you think they call it dope in particular? I remember that one, you know, of course I'd heard fast rapping before, you know, since before rap was around. Later I heard the tapes of Kool Moe Dee and different people, Grandmaster Caz going super fast. But that was one of the earliest, fastest performances I'd heard. So do you remember?
His energy. It was energy. It was just the energy for that. I had made that song. I remember it well too. I had diarrhea. I was at home. I couldn't make it to the studio. And my girl had pissed me off for something she did. I won't even get into it, but if my girl don't want to wash the dishes, she'll throw them out. And she didn't want to wash the dishes. She threw them shits out, I think it was. And it pissed me off. I went into my room and started making, why do you think they call it dope? Because it was the energy. I was mad. And then when I got the track to the studio, LL was like, oh yeah. And he felt the energy and he wrote back to it.
Yeah.
We fed off each other when we made Walking with a Panther. We definitely fed off each other. Whatever I brought in, he would have something. If he had an idea, he'd bring it to me, and the next night I'd have something for him. So we fed off each other. We worked really, really well together on Walking with a Panther.
So what was his vibe of like creatively when you're doing like a One Shot at Love or a Big Old Butt where the rhymes are slower and all that stuff? Why do you think they call it dope? What's the difference as a producer, and what's the difference of interacting with the artist when it's such a dramatic sonic difference, it's such a dramatic styles, stylistically, flow, all that. It's so different. How do you still get a maximum effort?
It's just a vibe. Like I was telling you before, most of the time we didn't have a structure. We go in and see what we came out with, throw it up against the wall and see if it sticks. But with him, it was just so effortless. I mean, he inspired, just knowing what he's about to do or what he's capable of doing inspired me to make shit that, you know, that I wouldn't normally make for Breeze or somebody like that. Because LL, mind you, he didn't graduate from high school. The boy was smart. His vocabulary was deep because he used to hang with the guys at the liquor store that used to play checkers and smoke cigarettes and smoke. He used to hang with them and talk with them every day. So he got wisdom from wise people, you know, not just the teachers. You know, after the 9th grade, what else are you going to teach him? This he knew the dictionary. He knew that shit. Knew what all the words meant. So his vocabulary was deep. And with a deep vocabulary, you're going to come with some creative shit. You don't have a choice. Your vocabulary warrants that. It begs for you to do that. So his vocabulary is one of the deepest I've ever heard. I mean, he knew some words that, I mean, you definitely have to go to the dictionary and look them up and see what they meant. He already knew.
Right.
Because that's what he would read.
Absolutely. All right.
But as far as his production and his evolving into a producer, every record he got better and better. He got better and better. Like, I'm pretty sure Rick Rubin was the go-to guy for radio. And then when we did Bigger and Deffer, we had Steve at there helping us, and we pretty much put things together. But when he got to Panther and Mama Said, he knew what he wanted. And he knew how to relay that to the engineers, to whoever was working with. He knew how to relay that information and to get that out of them to get what he wanted. So he evolved really quickly.
That's impressive. All right, well,
Yeah.
we've already been talking an hour, so I know we're going to need to do part 2, 3, 4, and 5, if you don't mind.
Okay. No problem, dude. I'm looking forward to it.
But let me do a little outro, and then we'll chop it up for a second if you got a minute. But
okay.
All right, cool, man. Well, Muffla, we're definitely going to have you come back for parts 2, 3, and maybe even 4 and 5. But thank you so much for coming through here on Unique Access, man. We really appreciate it.
Dude, this has been a pleasure for me. I'm glad to finally meet you. Big Daddy told me about you. I reached out. You reached out. Here we are. Let's keep it going.